Hello, my name is Declan Henley, and in this little interview, I'll be talking about the hidden meanings in my music videos. So stuff like references and metaphors, which weren't obvious, but still were in it. So I wanted to talk about it so everyone could understand. The first one was literally at the beginning, was the hand rising from the paint, which was inspired by Maroon 5. The whole video was heavily inspired by Maroon 5, Love Somebody. You can probably tell if you put them side by side how it's like paint, but they're using clay. It's basically the same thing, except what they did is they obviously altered the saturation, and also probably did use the same editing technique, which is mine is ultra key out a color, and then ultra key out a color, and then use the alpha channel in order to get the effect. Yeah, I also in my music video I added this black background with white objects and obviously hands and people. The reason why I chose the black as the background and the white as the foreground is mostly because I wanted to show that the black was all the despair, the anger, the darkness really, and the white was like the peace trying to come out. So it's even though how dark anything could seem, there's a little bit of peace, which is like the metaphorical meaning I was trying to get along by using my color theory with the video. Yeah, the look of the music video is heavily important. An example of this is the whole video to view, where the back foreground is one color, but the background is a different color. And the reason I did it like this is because I wanted it to be heavily minimalism, so that I can show a complex point, which is loneliness, despair, breakups, love, stuff like that, by only using the bare essentials. And the reason and the way I did this was simply by having bright green, which I swapped to blue because the green caused yellow pigmentation. I ultra keyed out that color, and then I would use the alpha channel in Premiere Pro in order to get the look you see throughout the whole video. Yeah, I also put edits in long bits of clips, and the most exciting one is actually at the beginning when the hand is raising, and another one is obviously the head scenes, which are so prominent. It's the fact that they are such long bits of footage. I cut it up by using effects, mostly just inverts. I will usually just dump an invert, or in fact do a different type of invert, such as inverse and saturation, for the one with the white background and the red. The reason I would mix it up with different cuts is because, again, I didn't have the budget to keep buying paint and objects, so I'm very limited on what I could do. And then I also didn't want the bits to be too long. While the song is slow, so I did want most of it to be long. I also thought, yeah, some of these bits are too long, and most of the reviews I got were saying, yeah, some of these bits are too long. So I tried my best to cut it up as best as I could. Now, another metaphorical meaning, which I'm again thought very heavily before even starting this project, is the character being part of the background then becomes more of a person as we go on. The reason this happens is, again, by rubbing paint, but the reason this happens is by rubbing paint onto your skin, which then makes the person, who is the background, start to become more visible. The reason this is to show that he's empty inside and hollow, and he's slowly becoming whole. The reason I use a mannequin head instead of a normal head drawn in the head scene is mostly just because it's symmetrical. A mannequin head is exactly the same on either side, when a person's head doesn't always have a reliable impact. Plus, the unreliableness of actors makes the whole video extremely tedious to film, especially when lots of it is having paint thrown on people and having people covering themselves in paint. Editing is really important during making this whole video. An example of this is drawing bits which you think are just black and white or white and black. It's actually got small bits of colour around the side. Some of you might have noticed that drawing the head bit and even the Oblivion word. So what I wanted to do throughout the whole video is I wanted to get colour in it. Yes, I made it black and white at the beginning, but I only did that because I can introduce colour on later. And why this is like a contrast people might not like, I do like the idea of building up the colour, because it makes it more it starts off more down and depressing, but then can become more vibrant and colourful, which I think, represents and reflects a lot in people's lives. The reason I chose to do paint going up someone's face, which is the mannequin's head in this case, is the reason I did this is because it actually is like a physical manifestation of something being uplifting. You watch it and then you're like, that looks really cool, that looks really nice. I don't get why it looks so nice. The reason is because your brain sees something physically uplifting and then listens to the uplifting music, and then your brain will make the connection there. I also did beat edits a lot in this. For example, again, going back to the head, which I edited the most, the head would like flash, and it would flash to the beat. The reason I did it so it would go to the beat is so it's easier. So again, it's a cut and a very long bit of footage, but it also makes it like more pleasing for the viewer to listen to. And other transitions do happen on the beat, because I feel like a transition is easier to explain and watch for the viewer rather than out of place if it happens on the beat. I also had objects to do with relationships, such as the teddy bear and love heart, disappear. The way I did this is by spray painting the objects green and then pour blue paint on them. This would make the object disappear or go into oblivion, which I thought was a really nice way of playing it.
Something that I wanted to go across in my video, and I wanted to do this ever since I started the project, was if you pause at any moment, it would resemble a painting. Well, I do believe I did this to an extent, not to the extent I wanted, however. For example, this is the end with the blue and red. Well, this does have quite an arty look to it. It doesn't have the look I was originally going for, but I would still say this was a success. The reason I used stop motion was because I felt that the audience wouldn't understand all of the imagery I was showing them, and having paint crawl up someone's arm would make it a lot clearer that it's an arm. An example of this is the teddy bear bit. A lot of people didn't understand it was the teddy bear I was showing them, but if I used stop motion and slowly went up the teddy bear, you would see it's like curves and edges and a lot more details, which will allow your brain to fill in the empty spaces. As I mentioned earlier, I wanted to introduce colour into the video, but I didn't want it just to be all colour. I wanted to start off black and white and then slowly get more colour. There was a scene where it's half colour and half not colour. The reason I added this, especially quite late into production, is because I felt like I needed a turning point between colours. Yeah, we had the pin light to build up to the colour, but I thought a good turning point would have made it a lot better and seem a lot more natural with the colours. Finally, the word oblivion going into the oblivion. The reason I chose to do this is because A, it's a play on words, the word oblivion disappearing, so going into oblivion. Plus I feel like the word oblivion actually shows the life of the video. An example of this is how it uses the pin light tactics. It starts off as black and white, and then uses pin lights. It then gets more colour as it goes on. But during all of it, it's also still disappearing, which I feel like it resembles the video so much more.